What would you say you do here?
It's the Signal Chords, home of the Underground podcast. A podcast dedicated to up-and-coming bands, labels, artists, and more. Plug in and join your host, Brad Nunnery, as he dives deep into what the future of music has to hold and discover something new along the way. What else do you have to do?
Hi, this is Renzo from Blaming Bad, and you're listening Signal Chords, the home of the Underground podcast.
How can I tell you my story? It's hard to expose, but I will try for me. I remember when you were at the age of 5. I started making friends. It was new world for me. You don't even know how to hold yourself alive in this world. In this world. A life that sounded perfect, but problems were not to be expected. Were those friends, same friends, we're no longer there.
That was Past and Today by our good friends in Blaming Bad. Many thanks to Trenza for recording that promo for us. Really do appreciate it, man. Now, Blaming Bad is a really killer melodic punk band based out of Santiago, Chile, and Norwich, England. Trenza's in Chile, and Jason is in England, and they've teamed up to form Blaming Bad. Really killer band. They've got a little hint of that hardcore punk twist as well to it. Love those guys. Love what they're doing. They're putting out a lot of really killer songs as of late. But if you want to find out more about the band, you can visit them on any social media platform at blamingbad.ukcl. What's up, everybody? My name is Brad Nunnery. Welcome to Signal Chords, home of the Underground podcast, season 3, episode 3, presented by my really good friend Jeff Small over at 1603 Designs. My guests tonight are Jeremy and Travis. They are in a band called Bitters and Distractions, a really killer acoustic punk rock duo based out of Long Island, New York. They released an EP last year. It's called the Home That Procrastination Built. It's out via Sell the Heart Records. Really killer stuff from these guys. So I'm going to talk to them all about that record, songwriting, fatherhood, history of the band, and future of the band. But stick around, hang out. It's Signal Chords, home of the Underground podcast.
Say what you want. I need an end to this. Got nothing left to give. It's always relative. Falling asleep to sound violence. Trash talking nihilist. Rap singing libelous. All you wanted was control again. Now you're saddled with disgrace. Hanging heavy from the arguments. The expression left your face. Hard way to live under a pile of bricks. Pushing sword to breathe. The thought makes me weep. All you wanted was control again. Now you're saddled with disgrace. Hanging heavy from the arguments. The expression left your face. All you wanted was control again. Now you're saddled with disgrace. Hanging heavy from the arguments. The expression left your face.
Jeremy, Travis, Bitters and Distractions, thank you guys so much for joining the podcast. How you guys doing today?
Great. Thank you for having us.
Great. Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty cool because you and I, the three of us, have been kind of going back and forth for the past couple of years, really, you know, ever since the EP came out not too long, you know, a while ago. And, you know, we've kind of worked on some songs with you guys and all that kind of stuff. And I know that we have some similar connections, which we'll get into. But it's fun. It's really cool doing this podcast and actually getting to meet you guys face to face instead of on instant message on Instagram and TikTok and all that kind of stuff. So thank you again so much for joining the podcast. So
yeah, very, very excited about it. And talking about how it's been a few years. I remember before we ever reached out to you directly, just obviously following you on Instagram, watching all you promoting bands and I remember seeing, I think it was when you first promoted a Crust Keys video.
Oh yeah.
Years ago.
Yep.
I was like, who's Signal Chords? What is this? This is this band is awesome too. So yeah, it's been a long time making. Look, happy to be here.
Yeah, it's it's pretty funny like how everything kind of worked out. When I first started Signal Chords, I didn't have any intention of doing a podcast. All my friends were doing podcasts, and I'm like, I just didn't want to jump on the boat and do it. And my friends were, making other podcasts. It wasn't music podcasts, and I'm like, I just don't, didn't want to know what to do. And the pandemic hit, and I'm like, you know what? I'm doing these music videos for the past year. I need to take the next step up. And I started developing relationships with you guys and Alter Apex and the Nights Like Thieves and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to be doing this and I'm going to, talk to these bands, I might as well talk to them in person. So yeah. Like I said, it's an absolute pleasure finally speaking to you guys. So we'll get into the thick of things here. So Long Island, New York. First, I want to start there. You guys are from Long Island, and I feel like we're kind of brothers from different mothers because my parents are from Long Island, and my mom's from Garden City. My mom was from Garden City. Actually, my mom was from Long Island. My dad was from Garden City. So all my family are all New Yorkers, and we're all transients down here to Florida. And it seems like their generation, they all migrated down here, but my dad got a job down here. But it seems like all the snowbirds, they come down here every year. But how's life up there in Long Island?
Ooh, filled with sicknesses, I think, this time.
Yeah.
I don't know about Jeremy's house, but it's lots of stuffy noses and coughing and kids staying home from school. And
we had a 2-hour delay today. That was nice.
Oh yeah, we didn't have that. Yeah, we had a little bit of snow. It wasn't much, but
Right.
slushy roads.
Yeah.
But I do like the snow. I'm definitely itching for spring now, but snow's good. But when we're in our 80s, we might be snowbirds too.
Yeah, come on down.
Yeah, we haven't been on the podcast in 40 years.
Yeah, we got plenty of room for you. They just they won't stop building apartments and condos and townhomes and hospitals. I think Florida is the hospital capital in the world. And I was driving around with my daughter. She's like, "Is there another Advent Health?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, and I had to give her that explanation about how older people start migrating south, and they need to have more hospitals for people that are getting older, and they need more attention and all that kind of stuff. And I could just see the look on my daughter's face, like I don't get it.
Both sets of my grandparents moved down. They retired down to Florida. I think growing up, I think we went down for almost every major long holiday break from school. We jumped in my dad's station wagon and drove down to Florida and drove, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Drove down to Florida together as a family on multiple occasions. And my whole every year I'd get a little bit more pissy about going. And then it would become this year I'm only eating cheeseburgers. If you can't find me a cheeseburger, don't take me anywhere.
My dad used to
always the same thing when we play shows. He demands that's on our rider.
It's our rider.
One cheeseburger.
No, my dad he was always infamous for saying last lap in car rides. If it was an hour late, an hour before we got there, he's like, last lap. And we were in a station wagon too, in his company car was the station wagon. Nice. And I always used to sit back in reverse and flick off the people behind us and all that kind of stuff and get in trouble.
Yeah, I love sitting reverse. Oh, that's fast. That was so cool as a kid.
Yeah,
now you
realize
how dangerous
in the back.
Was, but
they don't make SUVs anymore with seats in the back that face the back anymore, right?
It has danger, right? You get on a collision from someone behind you, the kid gets squished.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, with secure, not safety today, and it's just over. It's over crazy. And I always love seeing those memes about if you sat in this chair in the 80s and you survived, you've made it. Because it was just like a Happy Meals, like McDonald's, high chair, booster chair.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Like a seatbelt. Oh man, but I wish you guys come down here and get a little sunshine. It has been a little bit cold here, and of course I ordered a brand new hoodie and it came and now it's 80 degrees and I haven't been able to wear it.
Yeah. We've been having 20 degrees, 30 degrees, and stuff like that. So, but again, it's all good.
Are you guys both born and raised there, or are you guys kind of just?
Weirdly enough, we grew up in neighboring towns and didn't meet until we were in our 20s, 30s.
I guess it had to have been 30s, right?
Yeah.
Early 30s, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, like literally grew up 5 minutes from each other.
Yep.
Oh wow.
I've since found out we have a lot of, mutual friends, of course, but as far as we know, never crossed paths, which
Yeah. I mean, we must have.
well, yeah, I mean, at a
Yeah.
show, I imagine.
Yeah.
Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how did you guys actually meet up and start hanging out and knowing that you guys wanted to make music together? I don't know if it was like right off the bat kind of a deal, or was it?
Yeah,
Huh?
Jeremy.
I'll tell the story. I was working at a summer camp. I was teaching video production. Travis's wife was teaching photography there. Me and Melissa kind of picked up on the fact that we were like the two teachers with tattoos and started talking. And she was like, from the first conversation, she's like, you and my husband would totally get along. Right. You guys have to meet each other. So when Trav came to visit her once, she took him to meet me, and we hit it off right away as friends. And then we both had kids around the same time, and we invited them over, and Trav was like, let's take the kids to the park. And we're hanging out at the park and talking about punk rock. And and I'm like, yeah, I still have a bunch of songs that I wrote that's sitting in a book somewhere. And he's like, send them over. Let's see what comes out of them. And the next thing we know, he sent me back songs, and they were too good to just make like fun of. Like we needed to do something with them.
Right.
Yeah.
It was so fun because there was no plan around starting this band, like literally whatsoever. Like I remember just Jeremy, like as you just said, was like, oh, I have a lot of lyrics. I don't play any instruments. And then he kind of like paused. I kind of felt him being like wanting me to be like, do you want me to do something? But right away, I instinctually was like, I want to do something with them. So I was like, send it to me. Yeah. Like, and like Jeremy said, it was just like, we thought it was good. And we're like, we got to keep this going. But there was no plan to start a band.
Yeah.
Or write songs together, or maybe even necessarily continue to hang out. It's just like something just like totally clicked. And
we both just had like new kids about the same time, and we're busy with like dad life stuff, but this was like kind of a good break from it all.
That conversation happened literally while we were like chasing our kids around the place. Like we weren't standing still, like relaxing. Like he's literally showing me lyrics on his phone as we're running up and down, and going.
Right. Get off the shed! You like that Saturday Night Live the skit? Get off the shed, Will Ferrell.
Exactly.
When they're at the barbecue. I don't know if you've ever seen that skit. He's like yelling at his kid.
Yeah, totally. I love that.
No, that's funny. So yeah, I mean, it's really cool that you can, kind of share that. There is kind of a bond between, adults. It's hard to make friends, especially when you have kids and meet new people and all that kind of stuff. You usually have your tight knit family kind of a deal, and when you have somebody and you find somebody, that has a similar interest in, especially punk rock or whatever. It's like, did we just become best friends? Do you want to do karate in the basement? It's kind of like one of those things. And when you have kids too, it's like, it makes it easier to hang out, right? Because I don't know if you do, like me and my boy, we do like dudes nights and our wives do girls nights and all that kind of stuff. And the only time all four of us get together is like once a year. You know what I mean? So like we've never seen each other in the same thing except for once a year. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I love it. And it's like there's that comfort of being with someone who's at that same point in their life, as you, and that icing on the cake for Jeremy and I were like, oh, we also like the same music. 'Cause that's not always the case. Like I'm honestly like down to hang out with like any dad, like I vibe with, whether they like music or not. Like I'm just like, yeah, man. Like again, you're in the same point of your life as me. Like let's just hang out and just like get through this together. But when they turn to you and say they also like punk rock or just music in general, you're like, that's cool.
That's awesome. But Travis, you've been in bands, and Jeremy, have you both been in bands like growing up through high school and all that kind of stuff? And then you just kind of did the family thing and kind of went on the back shelf, or how did that all happen?
I was in bands in high school, but I went to college for fine art. I was like a painting major in college, and I think when I just chose the art route, I stopped following the band stuff. I messed around with some friends in college from time to time, but I never met anybody like Trav, like who I was on the same musical page with, Right. So for me, like it ended after high school, but Trav's story is longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never really stopped. Even prior to this band, I'm in obviously now with Jeremy, my sister and I were in a band for a few years, and that was kind of like the buffer between the earlier bands I was in that like I took very seriously and like really pushed and toured and did stuff with, and then this band. So I never, never stopped, and don't think I can stop.
Yeah, well, that's good. No, because you from the notes you said you were in a band called the Goodwill. Was that the one with your sister?
No, so the one I was in with my sister was a band called We're All Just Passing Through. A little more of my my folky, Bright Eyes, Ryan Adams influence kind of music that was pouring out off of that project. No, the Goodwill was just a straightforward punk band in the early 2000s. I was signed to Negative Progression Records.
Yeah, shout out to Seth. Yeah, what's up?
Shout out to Seth. I love Seth. And then later we signed to a label called Abacus Recordings, which was a division of that monstrous metal label, Century Media. Yep. So there was like a very short-lived like punk and hardcore sub-label. So that band was called the Goodwill. That was from like 2002 to 2006, maybe somewhere around that time. And then prior to that, I was in a punk rock band called Whoopee Cushion, which is a great name. But
Whoopee Cushion, hell yeah!
Yes, that was a band that
sounds like a fun band, like to go see. It's like I'm gonna go see Whoopee Cushion tonight.
It was.
You're gonna have a good time.
It was very serious because we were 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. So
and speaking of Whoopee Cushion, so let's bring this up and get this talking about. So when I posted that I was gonna be interviewing you guys, Eric Gray from Ultra Apex now, but he was in a band called Left Unsaid. He's like, oh my god, he was in a band called Whoopee Cushion, and I was like at work today going, oh hell yeah, that's an awesome name of a band. So tell me about your friendship with Left Unsaid and Mario.
You have those memories of earlier in your life that you can't remember what you had for dinner last night, but you remember exact conversations or experiences from 25 years ago. And I feel like that's those moments I have with this band Left Unsaid. They're from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and when Whoopee Cushion was booking their own tours, I don't know how we got in touch with them like that. I can't remember. I don't know if it was from like purevolume.com. Do you remember Pure Volume? Like,
yes,
that was a website that was just bands could upload their music to, and there was like different ranks, and you could see who was number one in punk in this. Chances are they were probably the number one punk band, I'm sure, in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm sure we just sent them a message and just booked a show with them. But what started happening was like same with Jeremy and I, is like the second we all got together, like we just like loved each other and we just vibed and got along great, that every time Whoopee Cushion went back to New Mexico, we would just play a show with Left Unsaid, or we'd crash at Mario's place. He'd show us his old like skate videos with Steve-O and stuff like that. Back in the day. And then, eventually when they started touring, they'd come up here, we'd play with them, and we've just stayed in touch. I mean, that's awesome. That was like 1999, I think, when we first like met each other. And, it's mostly through Facebook and like just goofy messages, like how you were saying Eric reached out to you. It's as simple as that. Like, we've just never forgotten about each other. And like, like they'll definitely hold like a special place in my heart. And they were such a great band also. So it was just, awesome to be close with someone who lived halfway across the country, who was also like super talented. But Night Like Thieves, Mario's new band, is fantastic. Eric's new band, Ultra Apex, is fantastic. So I just love staying in touch with those guys. But I haven't played a show with any of them in over 20 years, so hopefully that could change sometime soon.
Yeah, well, I mean, you never know. I mean, we got to get those guys over on the East Coast. I've been trying to get them to come down to Florida. I'm like, please, like, you could sleep on my couch, you could sleep on whatever. I'll kick my family out. I'll kick my kids out. I'll kick my wife out. Come out, let's hang out.
Right. I'd love.
And we almost had it one time with Nights Like Thieves, and it didn't pan out. Some kind of scheduling conflict. But Mario was like texting me. He's like, dude, we're coming to Florida. I'm like, it's like, hell yeah. And then it kind of went away. I don't really know what happened, but eventually, hopefully, they can come on the East Coast and they can play with you guys, and that would be a really killer show.
Even if Jeremy and I get in a car, go down 10 hours and they go 10 hours up from Florida, we meet halfway. And play some shows.
Just we'll meet in like North Carolina or something. Like we'll all do like a big festival over there.
Yeah, it'd be a blast to see them.
But let's talk about the Home That Procrastination Built, because that's kind of where everything started. I love this record, and I love the fact that you guys are a duo, and I'm like, these guys must play like every weekend at friends' houses, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's just an acoustic guitar and you guys just yelling punk rock, anthems, and it would seem to be like really fun. it's really cool to hear a full EP of that. You know what I mean? Like usually it's always like a track on an album kind of a deal, but like a whole punk rock anthem. Was that always the kind of the thought in going to everything? You guys never had thought of, having a bass and a drum, like you just want to jam out, or you just didn't have enough time being fathers and stuff? It's so much easier just to get a guitar out and start screaming, right? I would imagine.
I mean, it's a little of both. I think. I think we started like this, and it was easy, and it was easy because we were dads. It was easy to get the two of us together rather than 3 or 4 or 5 guys together. We looked into the possibility of what we might sound like as a full electric. But inevitably, I don't know, I feel like we found like a niche for ourselves. Like we liked the way our song sounded this way. It was easier because it was us doing it ourselves. And it made it like we only had to be like, hey, are you free? I'm free. Let's get together.
Right. Yeah.
And at this point in our lives, it's like, why make it harder on ourselves?
Yeah. And we started losing. We actually had Jeremy do somebody who laid down some drum tracks. And of course, like it was cool and it sounded great, but we lost something in our songs. There was something, I think, just pure about it being a guitar and a lead vocal and some backing vocals every so often. And when we started like covering that, like, the magic that we feel we have just kind of started dissipating, and it just didn't feel the same. And we're like, this just doesn't work. This is not who.
Plus, there aren't a lot of bands like us. This is like, it makes us a little different. It makes us special because we could show up just the two of us and rock out our songs. And we're not surrounded by a ton of bands that are doing the same thing, which is nice. It kind of keeps our sound uniquely ours.
Yeah, and that's such a good point too, right? Because it's like it's one of those things where it's like you hear that one song, and you're like, oh, maybe there's drums or whatever, and it's not, and you're like, oh, okay, all right, no, this is their thing. It does separate you guys from a lot, but it's still punk rock. It's still fast. It's youthful in the vocal deliveries and all that kind of stuff. I love it. I enjoy it.
Thank you.
And then let's talk about the music and kind of how you guys go about like writing the music. I know, Travis, you pretty much write the music, and then Jeremy, you write the lyrics, right? And like, how does that all come together? Do you guys do it together, or do you just, I have a guitar riff or whatever, and then Jeremy, you go in and write lyrics for it, or do you have lyrics already wrote out?
From the very beginning, it was lyrics first. I send the lyrics to Travis, and there's times where I'm writing lyrics with music in my head, but by the time I send it to him and he sends it back to me, I don't care what the song was that was in my head at the time. What he creates from my lyrics is what makes it interesting. I'm like, oh,
yeah, that's so weird because
the song sounds like, did I write those lyrics? It all sounds different now because it's like somebody else's music to it. So it's I look forward to getting him back.
It's interesting that you do it that way, because usually you have like a vocal melody in your head and you're like, oh, I want it to sound like this, or the pre-chorus is like this, or the chorus is like that, but you just write lyrics down, and then Travis has to go look at it and be like, okay, well, that could be I can place that there and that 100%. There, you know what I mean? It's great. I've never heard of anybody that done that before.
I love that. As like I've been a songwriter since I was in kindergarten. I had a friend named Ben in kindergarten. We had a band and we were just writing songs. I've been doing this my whole life, but never this way, which I love. Is like you're saying, Brad, it's kind of like, oh, like this part of the lyrics go here, this and that. Like I just interpret it however wrong or right. And I even love that in times when I send Jeremy back like a ballad and he goes, whoa, like these were not sad lyrics at all, but this is
right.
Like, I kind of thought it was sad. He's like, not at all. I'm like, all right, well, or vice versa. Like I'll send him back just like a 2-minute punk song, and he's like, cool. He's like, this is a very depressing song, but I'm like, I thought it was all hope. Right. I felt hope through it, and it just kind of like adds, like as a songwriter, it's like a nice challenge for me also to kind of do it that way. And I mean, it's very collaborative, and it's funny. I guess I say collaborative, but at the same time, we're not actually doing it together. But it's nice that it's like truly always like 50-50. Like there's never one person's idea that dominates the other person. Like it's completely split. Like, it's like I'm never changing his lyrics. He's never coming to me and saying that shouldn't be the chorus. Like it's just whatever. Right. We have songs that we don't use, of course, but
and there are songs that like sit half finished or kind of ideas. and then end up coming back and making them onto. There's a song on Procrastination that was definitely one of our first songs we ever wrote, and it sat like not feeling complete, and then we came back to it, and now it's, you know, EPs later.
What song was that one you're talking about?
Track 2, Rocky and the Other Guy.
That one.
Yeah.
Okay, Rocky and the Other Guy. Okay.
That's
So that was the first song that you guys wrote together?
Second or third, maybe.
One of the and it just didn't fit at that point in time, because we were still trying to figure out who we were as a band. So not every song kind of like fit around that sound.
Rocky stands and guards the door. Winter coats go on the floor. Take a cup, you start the door. Our body's so matador. Our body's so matador.
We've been doing this band for a while now. I don't even know, was it
2017?
According to Spotify, you guys have been together since 2018. I did some
research. All right, so there you go.
No, but you guys could have got together in 17.
I think the first
right?
EP came out in 2018, but I think 2017 is when we started writing.
Yeah. So, and we just held on to that song. It was a song we played those first few years.
Yeah,
we always liked it, but every time we went to go record something, it just didn't feel like it fit. And then I don't know what it was. It just never went away. And then the time came, we're like, yeah, this song would totally work right now. So sat around for a while, and it's the same song it was 7-8 years ago too.
Yeah, we didn't really change.
So no like adjustments or no changes or any of that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I've got a question. So now, like, we're talking about the writing process, and you said something. Now I'm intrigued. So, okay, let's say, Jeremy, you write the lyrics and you don't know how the melody is going to go. You hand it off to Travis. Travis, you put your guitar part and you do it and whatever. And then you go back to Jeremy, say, okay, this is how it goes. Yeah. And then you have to do you have to teach Jeremy like how to like sing it and know what the verses are? How does that work? Once you have your side, and then you guys come together, and then you got to walk him through where he needs to put his vocals, or how does that work?
You never want to hear the recordings, but I always like demo everything on my phone. So, like that little like the voice recording app, whatever. That's how I send him back. I press record. I always try to kind of sing like him, which I can't like naturally do, but that's what it is I always just send him the song. And thankfully he's always,
and then I listen to it with his voice, and then we get together, and then we like try to make a demo for ourselves with my voice. Yeah. And that's when we kind of hammer out details and tweak little things and go, oh, this would be cool if we did it like this. Usually in that like second round of demoing. And then, then from there we like, go into recording, but that's what it is. It's usually, it's very rare that he sends me back a song and I'm like, change it. Yeah. I don't think it's ever really happened.
Yeah, no, there's just a few times where he says like, that's good, maybe not feeling it, and that's fine. Generally those are the same songs and I'm not really fully feeling,
Yeah. And you guys have similar tastes, and you guys know each other, fairly well, and who's going to like what and not. And you guys can, come together and veto anything or accept anything. And that's the way to go, man.
That's always kind of been our thing, is that we're doing this together. We're doing this for the both of us. We're not kids trying to make it as rock stars. So it's if we need to take a step back, if we need to put something on hold, if we need to trash a song completely, it's fine. We move on, as long as it's always about being in it together. And as long as we agree, that's what we do.
And the greatest thing is that you guys are on your own timeline, right? You're not on anybody else's timeline. Not unless, guy at Sell It Hard Records, Andy, if he, he's pressuring you guys to, get more music out there. I don't know how much pressure he's puts on you and all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't seem like he's that type of guy. He seems like he's pretty laid back, right?
He's so laid back. And I right as you were saying that, I just remembered, like when we recorded the Home That Procrastination Built and sent it to him, and he wrote back saying that he liked it. And like the next sentence was like, but the most important thing is that you guys like it. And I was like, that's so nice to hear. We have friends that are in bands, now on similar size labels where that's not their experience at all. They're being told, change this, change that. And Yeah, that's
Right.
not our experience at all, which is really nice. So it's like we really do still get to keep to our own timeline, but then just have the support of someone like that's totally awesome and has such a great record label.
Yeah.
And at the same
Yeah,
time,
absolutely. I love Sell the Heart. I've been working with Andy and his bands pretty much
Yeah.
for the get-go. I think they were one of the first record labels I discovered while doing Signal Chords, because I'm a big label guy. I was
Yeah,
always
sure.
like, like a 90s kid.
Yep.
Revelation Records, Fat
Totally.
Records, Epitaph, list goes on and on, Victory, all those. And I'd be like, okay, what bands are under that label? And when I was in radio too, and I'd always like, get all these samplers from from all the record labels, and I would check every single band out, because that was like my thing is to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's
Yep, exactly. That was my experience with Sell the Heart. Just 3-4 years ago, is like they quickly became like one of my favorite labels. I remember hearing Neck Scars, and then hearing Fat Heaven, and hearing Cross Keys, and then being like, oh my God, they're all on the same label. like what is this record label? Why are these bands so good? So,
how did you guys get hooked up with him? Did you just write him and say, hey, listen, we're just trying to put out some music, or did you know him in the past?
That's exactly what we did. I mean, when I was in that band Whoopee Cushion, we had actually played like not a lot, but a good amount of shows with Tsunami Bomb scattered throughout over the years. Andy wasn't in the band at the time. But I did send him an email, and I sent him all those photos. They're from like the 90s and like the early 2000s. But really what it was just us going to him and just being open and honest, and just saying like, hey, we are huge fans of the label. But then also we kind of just like personalized, I think, our story. We said, we're two dads, we're in a punk rock band. We love being in a band, but we also have this like busy life. We love being dads. Like, we would like be so honored to be part of this label and have this in our life while we're experiencing all the other things. Obviously there's still like the music element. He had to like the music, for this to work. But he wrote back, and it took a few months. It was like a few months of conversations, and I imagine him listening to the music and thinking it through. And he was like, after a few months, he was like, yeah, let's do it. And we're like, oh, awesome. Yeah, let's do this,
That's great. What songs did you send him to, kind of let him hear, so he can make a decision?
Yeah. So it was nothing on the Home That Procrastination Built, because we had not recorded it yet. So there was a song, Existentialism in a Car, which is a song that we did a music video for. So we sent him that music video. And then I think I sent him the tracks to the EP that song was on as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. I love how everything works out, and, you get your response, and he's like, yeah, let's do it. And you're like, oh shit, wow, we really have to do it.
Yeah. Feel very, very, very fortunate for that. I never going to take that for granted, to be able to work with him in that label.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's get into the songs. The expression left your face. Now, I want to formally apologize, and I'm going to do that on my podcast because you guys cut a promo for me, and we aired it on the previous podcast, and I said the expression that left your face, and I didn't realize it until I uploaded it to YouTube, and I was like, mother, I went like one of those, rookie mistake. So on behalf of me and everybody here at Signal Chords, which is just me, I formally apologize. But let's talk about this song. This is probably like your main single from the record. There's a little guest appearance from what was his name? Will
Romeo from the band
Will Romeo.
Correct.
Awesome. Let's talk about the song and what it's all about, and why you guys chose to do a music video for it and all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, Jeremy's made for the question about what it is about.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of it is there's so much media being thrown at us, pretty regularly now, and it's so much noise, and I feel like it's too easy to get like buried by it. And that I feel like that's that song. It's you get so overwhelmed by so many different sides and so much yelling and screaming that I think sometimes you kind of like lose track of being. And that song was very much that. It was the frustration with like being told what to think by everybody, but whatever side of that argument, anybody's yelling at me is, that you sometimes kind of got to remember that we're still here, we're still here
Yeah.
to like exist, whether or not,
Yeah.
we believe in this or not. We still have to think about ourselves and our families and the people that are important to us. I think that's really what that song's about. And it's like getting angry that a lot of it is being angry that no one's listening to me, so this is my chance to be like yell back at them.
Sure. No, and it makes sense. And knowing that and listening, going back and listening to that song, I'll be like, okay, I get it. I get what they're doing there. Now, lyrically, when you're putting stuff together, how do you, what's kind of your driving force as far as lyrics? What really gets you pumped as far as wanting to express yourself or express any frustration, if it's not personal, what is it lyrically that you try
everything
to do, or is it
everything is somewhat personal, I think. A lot of the songs, I look at it, they're stories about people. This song is actually a little rare that it's not specifically a story about somebody or but most of the songs are really stories about people that I've come in contact with, people in my life, things that I've been through from various perspectives. So I don't always necessarily write from my perspective of the story. Sometimes it's like the perspective from inside of it. But it's usually based in the people that are important to me. I think every song has reference to, I could put my finger on exactly who that song is about for almost every song.
Yeah, like Brendan Fry. Who's this Brendan Fry guy, and why is he got a ballad?
So that's the one. It is a story. That's the one that's not my story. There's a really great movie called Brick. It was one of the first Rian Johnson feature films that he directed. There's something about the writing to that felt interesting and unique. As a video production teacher, it's a movie I show my students every year when we're learning about dialogue.
That's awesome.
And it's become, I've watched and read the script and watched and talked about it so much. And the way that there's something unique. Sometimes the students say to me, like, Quitko, like, kids don't talk like this. And I'm like, I know.
Right.
That's kind of why I love this. And a lot of those Rian Johnson written dialogue feels like a song. I felt like it should be a song. So that's what that was. It was really a retelling of his story, using a lot of his own lyrics, a lot of his own dialogue as lyrics.
1, 2, 3, 4. It's just the folly of our youth. We watch the passing of our time. Told every story left to tell. Left it all out on the line.
So that's so interesting that you're a video production teacher. And how did you fall into that? I mean, is it just, did you love it? Did you go to college for video production, or how did you fall into that?
I went to college for painting.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the lines, I realized that making a living as a painter was very complicated. Nor did I didn't like the bullshit with people. Like, I didn't want to I can't sell myself that way. So I got into teaching because I'm like, oh, well, now I can be around other people that want to learn and the stuff that I know. And after going on a bunch of interviews to be a painting teacher, I got a call. They're like, hey, we need a video teacher last minute. Can you do this? And I'm like, sure. Fake it till you make it. Right.
Sure. Yeah.
In my head, I was
Aren't
like,
we all?
this is temporary until I find a painting job somewhere, a painting teacher job. And 20 years later, I'm still teaching video production at the same school that hired me. And I love it.
Dude, that's awesome, man. I give mad credit to teachers, and I know it's not it's an easy job or a lucrative job, and what you guys are doing is amazing, man.
Thank you very much.
Love it.
Agreed.
So like, all right, so everybody has kids, right? So what do your kids think of the band? Do they love it? Do they hate it? They're like, oh, come on, Dad, I don't want to hear this song again. Like, because I worked on something with Signal Chords that's going to be released this weekend that I haven't done. It's something brand new that I haven't done yet. And I was very excited about it because I thought my kids would love it.
Sure.
And I showed it, and you'll see it this weekend. You'll be like, oh, okay, that's what it's about. And I showed him like, look at this is daddy. This is daddy. This little sneak preview. I was like, this is daddy. And my daughters go, cool. Yeah. All right. Can I go play on my Roblox now?
Yeah.
Like I was so like excited that they would, because it was almost kid friendly.
Sure. Sure.
Do your kids kind of do the same, or do they love the fact that you guys are jamming out and rocking out, or are you just still the awkward father that has to tell them to brush their teeth and eat their vegetables?
Yeah. I feel like Jeremy and I have, at some times we have different experiences because I have 2 boys and he has 3 girls. So I think
3-girl club, Jeremy. You
sometimes our experiences
with 3 girls.
Nice.
Sometimes we have similar experiences, but sometimes they're drastically different. So my sons like love it. Like there are times, not saying it's often, but where they do ask to put on my songs. There's times where like we'll go down to the basement. Both my sons play drums. They'll ask to play one of my songs. I'll pick up the guitar and I'll sing, and they'll play the drums to it. So they think it's super cool. My 5-year-old son Mason wanted to come here with me today. I'm actually at my parents' house doing this podcast, so I could just have some peace and quiet. But he wanted to come to me. So they both love the band. They love Jeremy. They think it's like just the coolest thing that I'm, still rocking out at this old age.
Yeah, Uncle Jeremy's coming over. You guys gonna jam out? You gonna jam out?
They give me the best welcome when I get over there too. It's his son's like real. I feel like his sons like me sometimes more than my daughters.
Oh yeah.
No, my daughters love me. They don't, and I think they like the fact that their dad is a like in a band, and I think they like that I make videos, and they like that I'm an artist. Do they love my music? Yeah, I'm not Taylor Swift, but who is, right?
Right. Yeah.
I think they wouldn't necessarily listen to the music we play, and I think that's where the big gap is with us. But I think they like that they're like 2 of my daughters will humor me. One of them is over it.
Oh yeah.
And she's getting, the older she gets, the more over it she's getting.
How old is she?
She's 11.
Oh
so
yeah.
Yep. Getting ready to be a teenager. And I
right
think it's, me being in a band is going to be the last thing she cares about for a while.
Right.
I've been trying to teach my kids about stuff. And, I have an 11-year-old daughter and I have twin 9-year-olds.
Me too, dude.
And,
wow.
You have an 11-year-old daughter and twin 9-year-olds?
Yes.
Me too.
Oh, you want to go do karate in the basement? Do we just become best friends? That's crazy, dude.
Become best friends.
Dude, that's awesome. No, that's so funny. So yeah, we're in the right, very similar stuff. And one of my twin girls, I was taking her to school. So my oldest, she likes random stuff, but I'm trying to get her into creating Spotify playlists and all that kind of stuff. But the crap she's listening to, the fact that she's listening to music, I'm cool with it.
Right.
She was doing she's a hell of an artist. She's a real good artist, and she drew like the whole Gorillaz album cover.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the Gorillaz back from the 90s, I guess, whatever they are.
Great art.
Yeah, and she created it all and all that kind of stuff, and I'm like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna convert her over, and it kind of went up and went down, and then whatever, and then but my 9-year-old, I'm taking her to school, my twins, and Fear Factory. I don't know if you guys are metal fans, but I'm listening to Fear Factory, and one of it was their first record. I think it might have been Scapegoat or something of what it was, and it was just straight metal. It wasn't even like him singing; it was just the straight, that kind of stuff, and my 9-year-old's like, man, this song's awesome, Dad. And I'm like, I'm not crying. You're crying. You're crying. It's just one of those things that I hope that my kids get into art and into music. I don't know if you guys feel the same, that you want to share your passion with your kids,
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, there's definitely that part of me, and I'm sure Jeremy will agree, and I'm sure Brad you'll agree too. It's like whatever makes him happy, of course, is totally cool. But yeah, I mean, both my boys, like I said, play drums, and that's that moves me. I'm they're wanting to play music, and then when they include me in on that, that's just the best possible scenario.
Yeah. One of my twins plays drums also, and it's she's definitely the coolest twin because of it.
Oh yeah. Dude, you guys got a beat factory over there, dude. Just have battle of the bands over there.
Never need a drummer. or want a drummer, then we got 3 choices now.
Yep.
So
You got 3 in the mix. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They're going to be up and running on tour with you guys in no time. That's for sure. Especially around some new music. All right, so you guys working on new music at all, or is it too early to kind of tell or anything, or what's the future for Bitters and Distractions?
Yeah. So what was really fun was we put out a song called Punk Rock Christmas.
Yes,
obviously
great. It was awesome. Great video too.
Thank you. Just about, I guess that was 6 weeks ago or so. And like Jeremy said, we have songs that we've held on to for years. We're always working on new songs, but we actually just very recently wrote 2 new songs. Like Jeremy probably gave me the lyrics 8 weeks ago. It took me a few days to write it, and we were like, yeah, we like this. So we're actually, like in talks with Andy and a few people about like what exactly we're going to do, but it's looking like we're going to release 2 songs, potentially like mid-year. Not sure exactly what it's going to look like yet. We have some ideas, but once we know, we'll be able to announce it. But yeah, it'll be more music this year, which we're really excited about, because for us, having put out the Home That Procrastination Built and then just the Punk Rock Christmas single, that was like more than we had ever done in 1 year prior. So the fact that now it's only a few months later, we'll be like getting things ready for another release, that's, moving fast for us, which is exciting. It's just been so much fun. So not going to stop, but yeah, this year for sure.
Yeah, I would imagine like, putting out a record with Sell the Heart or a record label, and finally getting it out there and letting it breathe and letting people listen to it after a while. And I'm sure you probably get that itch to where you're like, you got any more songs? You got any more songs? Like, is it like that for you guys, or you just get around to it and just put it out when you can?
No, I think we like releasing music. I think we always like release music pretty regularly to begin with. It generally was, I guess, thinking back to it, like 1 EP almost a year. So, Jeremy just writes a lot, and we always talk about this when we do other podcasts too, but like we like every release to be like a time capsule. So we don't want necessarily too much time to go, by from the time we like felt that this was like this connected with us to when we release it. So we do try to get music out quickly for that reason. But people also are craving more music more regularly. Maybe that's because of Spotify. Right. So I feel like to keep people engaged, you do have to pump out more music nowadays. I mean, it's nice that sometimes it could just be a single here. It could be a single there. It doesn't necessarily.
And that's what the luxury of like that Spotify, right? You don't have to like go in, 6 months to write a record.
Exactly.
And
the Beatles
and the whole world gives up on you. That's not how it goes anymore, right? Like you go in the studio for 6 months and like, is this band even still together anymore? You know what I mean? Like it's that instant gratification to where it's like, all right, when's the next single? Like, okay, I've heard that. I need more. And do you guys, feel that way or feel that pressure that you gotta kind of keep putting music out there? Or is it, like I said, just whenever you guys feel it, because you guys got busy schedules and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, so, I know for me personally, I definitely don't feel pressured. I just, it just so happens that we just do it this way because it's fun and we just enjoy it, and it just works well for us. But yeah, never do I feel like, oh my God, like we got to get going. Like, let's do this. It's just, if it feels good, we do it. And if it doesn't, we don't.
Yeah, you get an itch. You're like, all right, I'm sick of the songs that we've been playing. I feel like we need to add something new to this.
Right.
And you just get the itch and you're like, all right, Trav, here's some words. And sometimes it's like one set of words, like one set of lyrics. Most recently, I sent them 2 songs at the same time. And it's just as they come, we send them over and we make new songs.
Yeah, and it's our art. It's like, this is like us doing art also. So, we need this to keep going. Like I always make a joke that like I wouldn't be like maybe the good dad or good husband I am if it wasn't for the music I'm playing. So it's like I have to keep this going anyway to like continue to be who I truly am. So.
But the sun rays burns me awake. At least that is where I believe. I stand in front of the mermaids. I stand here trying to breathe.
I feel that 100 miles, man.
Yeah,
I feel that exact same way, running this page. It's kind of like, my day job is my day job. But this is like, this is what I love. I love talking to people and love discovering new music. And, you got to find that stuff that just calms you and relaxes you and makes you feel like you have a purpose in the world. You know what I mean? So that's cool.
Yeah. I have a lot of, whether it's coworkers or just good friends, they're like, how do you find the time to also do a band? And I'm like, again, I try to explain, I'm like, I have to. And like, for me, it's not,
right.
I'm not feeling pressured. Like Jeremy was saying, if things don't work out, they don't work out. And then we try again in a few weeks and it's cool. Like we don't pressure each other. But for me personally, like this doesn't feel like it adds really like stress to my life or an extra layer of like, I have to do this to my life. This is just like the icing on the cake to everything.
And that's how it should be though, right, Jeremy?
Yeah. Right. I mean, if I wasn't making music, I'd be drawing. Right. If I wasn't drawing, I'd be working on art. But it's all kind of the same thing. It's like I'm doing it all together. Right. I love that being in the band and making music gives me another reason to make art too. It's like I'm making flyers for shows and t-shirts and stickers, and gives me another reason, something else to inspire like that part of my art also. And I mean, I'm going to do it anyway. So
here's a stupid question. Did you design the album artwork and all the album artwork for the band?
I did. The only one I didn't do, the only cover I didn't do was our single for Standing in Kitchens at Parties. My good friend Margaret did that. She's a friend of mine that I work with. She's the sculpture and drawing teacher at the high school I work at. And she did the cover for that because I really like the way, I like her animation, her illustration, I mean, and I felt like it was going to fit what we were trying to do with that song really well. But other than that, everything else, almost everything we've done for the band has been my artwork otherwise.
Yeah, most of what we do is us. So we actually do all of our own recording as well. So we record everything ourselves. We mix it ourselves. We master it ourselves. And then obviously, thankfully, have Andy and Sell the Heart that graciously puts it out. But everything before Sell the Heart, is really, it's just all us from like, again, the songs to the recording to the artwork, which is cool because it just stays like, again, like this is our art project at the moment, which is really cool.
That's so cool. That's a really cool way to look at it. And, and it shows, I love the artwork. I love the procrastination,
Thanks.
I love the artwork and I love the stickers, and thank you so much for sending a whole bunch of stuff over my way. I appreciate it. So when you guys do you guys play out a lot live a lot, or just whenever with all your busy schedules that you just kind of pick and choose? And do you guys have plans to maybe like go to other places and play as well?
Yeah. So we try to play as much as we can. I wouldn't say we play a lot by any means. I think it's kind of increasing now as our kids are getting a little older, which is great. We're not, this month in February right now, we are working on some new songs, but we got a show coming up in March, which we're excited about. What was the second part of the question? Oh yeah. Traveling. Yes. Yeah. So unfortunately, another thing that we can't talk too much about yet, but we will actually be, we're actually going to be, leaving New York and traveling and getting on an airplane and going to go play a really cool show for the first time.
Yeah, they're going to be waiting for you. They're going to be waiting for you.
Yes.
Cheesy.
I'll tell you. We'll tell you off camera, Brad. But
okay,
it's going to be really, really cool. We're looking.
It's funny. It's like as the kids get older, it frees us up to be able to get a little further away from home and opens up a lot of more options. But at the same time, we're also getting older.
Right.
But I'm looking forward to having like continuing having a little bit more freedom,
And that's what parenthood's about, though, right? It's like, I would always like feel guilty about going to Publix, and then you're like, or you would go to Publix just to get away for a little while,
Right.
Wait, honey, you need some cigarettes? You need some more beer? Or you need some more White Claw? I'll go out and get it for you.
My wife just has to like under her breath be like, "Oh, I think we need more milk." I'm like grabbing the keys and running out of the house. I got milk. I got it.
Love going. I love going to Target. Go to Target. I'll spend 2.5 hours in Target. Just I'm like, I'll get the stuff from Target.
Yeah, we have our own thing. Like we're my wife and I are like, we all have like, responsibilities, as you guys probably do too. And it's so funny that it's like, okay, if those expectations aren't met, you're like, oh man, I didn't do that, and I'm not going to expect her to do it or any of that kind of stuff. But I love those little moments to where like your kids are getting to a certain age. You're like, oh, I can do that now, or I can do that now. You're not constantly feeding or changing or
100%.
That kind of stuff. And then you get these different little levels, but it's a challenge, at times for sure.
Yeah, and even when both our me and Jeremy's kids were younger too, it's like like leaving the wife home alone with both kids now. While I leave the house at 6 o'clock and I'm getting home at midnight, putting all the two to three kids to sleep. That's like a lot. It's a lot. It was a lot of work. Not saying it's a piece of cake now, but it was a lot more work for them 5-6 years ago. So yeah, everything's kind of like easing up.
I mean, Brad, you probably know this from having kids the same age. Me and my wife now are at that point where if one of us is like going out for the night, we don't need to entertain my kids anymore. Like they kind of do their own thing. They play together.
Yeah.
We look forward to when the other one goes out because it's like, ooh, now I can watch whatever I want tonight. Stuck in horror movies. Here I come.
Yeah, no, my wife goes out of town a lot for work and stuff, and I'm like, all right, no, baby, you go, or she'll do girls' night. I'm like, all right, cool, you do whatever, and like, I get to be cool dad and like do whatever, or totally. Set up the projector and like watch movies or whatnot, or put the kids to bed early so I can do like my own thing. You know what I mean? It's just like those little victories. But yeah, at that certain age to where it's not such a real big pain in the butt to go out, and I'm going to a punk fest on Saturday all day. And so it's like there's like 20 bands playing here in Sanford. Wes Hoffman and friends are going to be there. A band called On the Cinder is going to be there. Knives are going to be playing there. A lot of bands that I've helped promote, and so it's like all day, and I'm so looking forward to it. And it's be my first like all day thing without my wife. So I'm always like kind of nervous, and I'm just like, "Are you okay, baby? You all right? You gonna be okay?" Like you still feel that like that husband guilt and being gone all day and drinking and partying and stuff. So
Jeremy and I always joke about like what were you doing just 1 hour before you got to the show? Because like I remember like talking about that band, The Goodwill. It's like, what was I doing an hour before the show? I was getting out of bed at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I was just like microwaving pizza and stuff like that. And now it's like we get to a show and he's like, dude, I just got back from 2 back-to-back soccer games. I was like, oh my God, dude, I was doing laundry and I was doing dishes. I was making sure the homework was done. Like, and I just barely made it here to the show. And even just tonight, like I literally was just helping my 5-year-old with homework up until like the second before I left the house. And before that, I was getting both my boys dinner and stuff like that. But it's because again, you want to make sure things are in order before you step away and do your own thing.
You don't want to leave in chaos and hurt, like, because you'll have that guilt, if like your wife's like screaming at the kids, you're like, all right, I'll see you, and it's like you're not gonna have a good time because you're just gonna be you're gonna get it when you get home, kind of a deal. And no, it's all good, man. But well, thank you guys so much for joining the podcast. Really do appreciate it. Where can people find your merch and music and all that good stuff besides the normal Spotify and all that kind of stuff? Do you guys have a website?
Yeah, bittersanddistractions.com is the website. I know also on our Bandcamp page, there's a link to buy merch. We have t-shirts. I think we have, Sell the Heart has a link to the Home That Procrastination Built on 7-inch vinyl. Or if you go to selltheheartrecords.com, they have the Home That Procrastination Built 7-inch. So that's really it. Then all the general usual social media channels.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I'll make sure I'll put it in the links here below so everybody can get, if they're watching this, and everybody can click on it and find out more about you. But Travis and Jeremy, dude, it's been awesome talking to you. And
thank you,
I can't wait till we do karate. And I have to go to your house for the basement because we don't have basements in Florida. But
I'm in my basement right now.
Oh, lucky! I've always wanted a basement. We don't have them here because
I don't have a garage though. I can use a garage. That garage would be nice, but I'll take a basement.
I'm lucky.
Don't get me started about my garage. My mother-in-law's stuff is still all in the house because we live in a house where my wife grew up in this house.
Oh wow!
So we bought the house off my mother-in-law and we renovated it while we were renting off her. And then when we both got like real jobs, we were able to afford it, whatever. And we got the family discount. So, so all her stuff is still in the garage right now after 6 years or 7 years of living here. So I have like a little space here to do my like wood crafting and all that kind of stuff, my little extra hobby. But no, it's all good, man. But thank you guys so much for joining. Best of luck to you guys. And come down to Florida. We'll have a cold beer and get some sunshine under the palm trees, and we'll do it up.
Sounds incredible.
Sounds awesome.
See you then.
All right, guys.
Thank you very much, bro.
Thanks.